Yes.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? That was good. Sort of. I like in a comic.
I think that was so bad that we can't get copyright struck.
Right. You can't. They can't.
Copyright struck.
So we're rolling, right? This is it. We're back. We're back. Just feel free to cough anytime you want. Just try to turn away from the mic. We're back in Studio B. Studio B. And it's been a
B studio.
And didn't we I think we figured out last time that it's better for me to have this over here, right? Because reaching the cross body reach isn't so good. By the way, Studio B I am able to make a rum old fashioned.
You're ambidextrous. Can't you just use your...
I know, but it's up over the shoulder. It's hard to... It just seems like I'm asking for a spill.
What are we talking about?
Today, all right, well, so we're back, and we did take a little summer... I guess it was like the traditional summer break. You know, like TV shows, you just get reruns during the summer.
Yeah, most people are familiar with the concept of a summer break.
Yeah, summer break. Although with this show, you didn't get any reruns because you didn't.
There were no rees to run.
There were no rees to run. But we spent a little time rethinking the format a little bit. Now it's not going to be here. It's only here today because of reasons that aren't important. But we're still going to be at Hat Studio, and but the arrangement's going to be a little different. So instead of being so focused on kind of having all these different guests come all the time, and the show being about, you know, like the personalities of the people, we were thinking about, you know, some of our best conversations where there are certain people that we have come in and we have great discussions on a topic, not necessarily because anybody is like an expert in that topic or whatever. There's millions of podcasts that you can listen to for that sort of stuff. But because we were just, you know, the idea of the show is it's a show about life in America featuring people who live here. So we want to go with the people who live here approach, where we're just regular people, you know, the smart ones, not the dummies. The dummies we don't.
Not allowed.
The dodos we didn't.
I'm not a supporter of genocide, but
No, we don't have to kill anybody. We just don't invite them back on the show.
Metaphorically, execute.
But we did. But we did have some people that were repeat guests, and we're kind of always good for a conversation on whatever the topic is. And so what we want to get, Trevor's giving me
always good for one.
Always. So we are going to have. The schedule's already filled up, folks. We got it all planned out.
This is land of the free, so we're going to have. It's the land of the free conversation.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have a regular cast of a regular crew that comes in. It's not going to be the same people every week because I couldn't get anybody to sign up for that, but it will be a regular rotation of a handful of people that will kind of be the Saving the Dream regulars, and there will always, assuming, you know, nobody's car breaks down on the way to the studio, there should always be three of us, so me plus two other people, because that's where plus Trevor's always chiming in from time to time, so we get a little bit more conversation that way. All right, did I describe that well?
Yeah. We got a crew, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, we got a crew.
I think sometime we should come up with a name for the crew.
The crew,
like the essential, the global elite.
Well, kind of the inside joke around here is that the abbreviation for Saving the Dream is
STD.
STD. So the STD crew,
the infected, the unclean.
The unclean. All right, now
if anyone stumbles upon this video on accident, then, because I think that's the people who are watching it, then just drop in the comments what you think we should be called.
Yeah.
The crew, not me. I'm not in this.
What do we call the crew? Is it on accident or by accident? I've never been clear about that.
Perchance,
on accident. All right. However.
So what are some of the topics we're going to be covering now?
Funny you should ask that. Because I was thinking about it. And I thought, I need a fresh
You
take.
hit the microphone one more time.
Well, the thing's hanging down. Hold on. Let me.
It happens when you get old.
Is that better?
You just got to tuck it away.
Got to tuck it away. Okay. I need that underwear from Target.
I don't think they make them in adult sizes.
Probably not. All right. Funny you should ask what topics, because I was thinking the other day, I thought we need a fresh take on, I'm not sure I love this chair, by the way. We might have to get a different chair in here. This one just doesn't quite, I feel like I'm sitting like this. So I asked ChatGPT. I said,
The
what?
world's friend.
I said, give me a list of topics that could be discussed on a podcast called Saving the Dream, which is a show about life in America featuring people who live there. That's the actual question I asked ChatGPT. I gave it lots of, meta whatever in the question to figure it out. And here's what ChatGPT. Now, I'm only using the 3.5 version because I don't want to pay for the 4.0 version. He came back. I'm going to just say that ChatGPT is a he.
Zare.
He came back and he said, certainly, !
I love how friendly ChatGPT is. You ever ask it a question and it's like, oh, that's great. I can't do that, but you want to be friends or something? I don't know.
Makes like Siri seem a little bitchy, actually. Like ChatGPT is a little over the top, sugary.
Hence he.
Yeah, gotta be he. He says, here's a diverse list of topics.
Diverse.
Got to work that word right up front. Diverse list of topics that could be discussed on your podcast, Saving the Dream, a show about life in America featuring people who live there. See how he repeated Repeat
the question back to you.
So I know that he understands. I know that he understands.
He's got like interviewee etiquette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's no dummy. This chat. It's not his first rodeo. Topic number one. So you haven't. I don't know if you've seen these, but we'll see. We'll see what we think.
Okay.
By the way, if you are watching this and you got nothing else to do, you could vote in the comments for which of these you like. Number one, immigration and the American dream. Stories of immigrants pursuing their dreams in America.
It's kind of funny because that's what we've mostly talked about.
Yeah, we've done that one a few times already with actual immigrants.
Does this version of ChatGPT wear Hawaiian shirts?
I don't know if he wears anything.
Is this ChatGPT just you after a night of some of those?
It's just me on the weekend when no one's in the house.
You and your thoughts.
So immigration and the American dream. Well, okay, so I think we get a gold star for that because we've already done that one a number of times. Number two. Now this one I think is actually kind of interesting. I never thought of this. Rural versus urban living. Exploring the unique challenges and opportunities in both settings. Rural versus urban living. What do you think? What do you think at home?
That could go sideways really fast.
Then it's perfect. That's what we want. We want the sideways topics. I have to think about that. Rural versus urban living.
You could talk about how like more rural living is under attack by a lot of the proponents of globalism and such, and how with farming and such.
I want to get to that actually.
And you can talk about the big trend in religious communities who are big, like people in the Catholic community. They're all really big into escaping the world and building a log cabin.
Are Catholics into that? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's all the young hip families are doing it.
Okay. That could be good. That could be good. I mean, obviously, there's a difference between rural and urban living. I'm just trying to think of it in the context of the show. But number three, education in America. Don't get me started. Discussing the state of the education system, challenges faced, and innovative solutions. So this is where ChatGPT, he starts out with something that's kind of punchy, and then when he describes it, it just descends into the usual like corporate speak.
His delivery's a little
generic. It's a little. It's generic. It's generic.
Robotic.
Education in America. Absolutely. I think for sure we should talk. We've done a little bit on education, but not very much. I think there's quite a lot to talk about there. We did have. Remember, Neil Murphy, I think, was the one who said something really about how academia is just for shit anymore. Like.
Well, and we had actually along those two topics we had the gentleman's name the guy whose name I'm forgetting, the guy who did, he's a teacher or he runs that program, after school program.
Oh, Jason Skier.
Yes.
Yeah, the basketball player.
Yeah, he
also runs a charity. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, there was him, and then there was
his friend Dr.
Taj.
Dr. Taj.
Yeah. And that he could actually probably speak on both education and the urban living.
We might have to get him back. Maybe he could be part of the regular part of the regular crew. I know he's really busy.
Taj.
Number 4, healthcare access.
Oh.
Now, my friend, who you may remember as Speedy Garcia.
Yes.
No, not Speedy.
No.
Speedy's Gonzalez. What did we used to call him? Zippy Garcia. Zippy would be great at this healthcare thing because he's got a real. He's kind of passionate about it, and he has a point of view that would be probably different from you or my point of view, but he defends it really well. However, he's got like this executive job, and he's like, I can't be on the show because somebody might.
He's
so
too good for some plebes.
But let's see the explanation here from ChatGPT is examining healthcare disparities and initiatives to improve accessibility and affordability. Yeah, I'm not even going to read those descriptions anymore because they're just garbage. ChatGPT needs a little more depth. But the topics. Now, number 5, your favorite and mine, cultural diversity.
And why does it take a moral high ground? I still do not understand the moral argument behind
cultural diversity.
Diversity, yeah. It's different. I don't know. I don't get it.
Celebrating America's rich cultural tapestry and the importance of understanding and respecting.
But America's racist and run by white people.
Yeah, but besides that, we have a rich cultural tapestry.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't know that.
And it's pretty much Asians who are in the top percentile of income and such. But regardless, America's racist and run by white people.
We could definitely do. I mean, that Dr. Tajki would come on with that. And actually, we're gonna have next week. We got Ratian, who's been on the show a few times, who's the guy who looks like he's from India, but he's really from South Africa, and talks like he's from England. And Delphina, who has not been on Saving the Dream, but I think we may be able to get into some of that with the two of them. Number 6, economic disparities, exploring income inequality, poverty, and initiatives for economic empowerment. Economic empowerment. What does that mean? Are you empowering the economy, or are you empowering people to be economic?
Yeah, it's going to be about people. Well, it leads with the economic disparity, so it's people who are in lower brackets. So it's about empowering people economically.
But this is a curious term, actually. This is something income inequality. Income inequality. But now, I think never in the history of the world, past or future, is everybody going to have the same income. There's always going to be difference.
They've tried that.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
Kills
a lot of people.
So if I say income inequality, so let's break this down. And inequality means that two things are not equal.
Okay.
Which means they're numerically different.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if I make a different amount of money from you than what you make,
you're oppressing me.
I didn't say if it was higher or lower, But if I make,
you're older than me.
True.
Your generation's oppressing me.
Inequality, income inequality. I mean, now if you said you and I both do the same job, we're both equally qualified to do that job, and we both perform. Not only are we both equally qualified, but we both perform at the same level. If I get paid more than you, then you could say, okay, that's not income inequality, really. It's earnings inequality. I'm earning more than you are, even though we ought to be earning the same.
It's because people talk about income inequality because that's what the statistics are, and it compares income between races and genders
and groups of
both
and cultural groups. Okay, so it's not income inequality on a one-to-one basis. It's like this whole group of people.
There is no individuality anymore.
That's a good point. All right, let's see. Number 7. Community initiatives. Skip. Number 8. Climate change and environmental conservation. Yes, obviously we're going to do that one. I have lots to say about that. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll do that with Ration and Delphina. Mm-hmm. Delphine is kind of an ESG champion, but she kind of has a different take on it.
There is no different take on it.
Her take is, how do we make money off people that want to do ESG? She has kind of a capitalist view. Number 11. Okay, this could be fun. Food culture. We've never done this.
Hey, we live in Houston.
Delving into the diverse and evolving. Why has it got to be diverse? Always that word, diverse, has to come in there. The diverse and evolving food landscape in America, including regional cuisines and food-related initiatives. Anyway,
what?
I think we could do that, but we should do it
just about food.
Barbecue. We should do it because all the different, Texas barbecue versus St. Louis versus the Carolinas versus California. Oh no, there is no California barbecue. Okay. Number 13. No, excuse me, number 12. There's 20 of these.
Okay.
Number 12, a veteran. No, this could be good too. Veterans' stories. Honoring the experiences and challenges faced by veterans and discussing support programs available to them. Corey could come talk about that kind of stuff. But we want to have the regular crew, so that we gotta nothing. Veteran stories. Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. 13. Civil rights movements.
All of them.
Reflecting on historical and current civil rights movements, highlighting achievements and ongoing struggles.
Yeah, we could get into current civil rights movements. Talk about how.
Yeah, we'll get.
Yeah, about how people are discarding Martin Luther King's ideas because they weren't enough, quote, and they didn't do enough, so they're outdated and
guy just came up short, man. He just didn't give it his all. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Number 14. Yeah, obviously we're going to do that. 14. Okay, this is another. Well, actually, we've done this a little bit, actually. Family dynamics. Mm-hmm. Family structures, parenting challenges. Oh, and the changing definition of family in modern America. Mm-mm. Well, whether we
family
think
dynamics and why the nuclear family is supreme.
So our friend Mr. Chat here,
Mr. GPT,
ChatGPT has a point here. So ChatGPT is reading the internet, and what he has perceived is that there is a changing definition of family in modern America. Mm-hmm. There is. Mm-hmm. Whether you and I think there ought to be or not, there is. Number 15, arts and entertainment. So that's something I haven't thought about this, but artists, musicians, things like that.
The decline of visual arts.
And performers who are, shaping the cultural scene in America. Music. Number 16, the future of work. Yeah, I mean, the gig economy, remote work trends. I just feel like all that just gets talked about so much anyway. I'm not sure if we want to, but we'll have to think of a good angle on that. Number 17, sports and recreation.
I like ultimate frisbee.
I don't know about that.
Sports suck.
Sports. Number 8, I like the idea of sports. It's just the current,
Okay.
the current incarnation.
Basketball is down.
Number 18, volunteerism and philanthropy. Yeah. 19. Oh, this one I actually wanted to do with Andrew Beer. How do you say his name? Who was supposed to, who we were supposed to be recording with today, actually, and he had to bail.
Mr. Beer.
That's why we're here, by the way, folks. That's why we're here in Studio B, because he runs a public affairs company for politicians and things like that here in Texas, and we wanted to talk about political engagement and how people should get involved in their local.
To what degree people should get involved.
And how can you make a difference?
Not everyone has to be a politician.
Number 20, and this is the final.
With the getting involved politically thing, we can talk about where we can discuss how to vote on someone, like how to decide who to vote for.
Didn't we do that with Cully and the George Carlin thing? No,
that was talking about stupid people.
That was that was the one before that was stupid people. That was we were talking about whether it even matters to vote.
Yeah.
Like, why bother?
So then if you are going to vote, then how do you, what traits, what interests should you have one trait that's an end all be all? Like if it's
or one issue, right?
Should you vote representing just yourself, or should you take the interest of the country or the community?
I think on the next presidential election, I've already decided this is going to be my big chance to do a write-in vote. I've always wanted to do a write-in vote.
Apparently, I just saw a headline, so I haven't read into it yet, but apparently RFK is running third party.
Oh, yeah? That could be interesting. He could be a strong third-party candidate.
Yeah.
I was thinking about writing in you, actually.
That's a great idea.
I mean,
T-Dog McSwizzle.
T-Dog McSwizzle. What were you going to say about RFK? Jr.? RFK Jr.
So he is Democrat, but...
Yeah, but like old school, traditional
Democrat.
And
so a lot of conservatives really like him, especially what he's done lately. So yeah, he could be a good third party.
Well, what he's done lately is bash the Democratic Party, so that's why the conservatives like him.
Yeah, well, that and conservatives really like him because of the... conservatives and then a lot of liberal people who have found themselves as centrists now like him for a lot of his backlash against the COVID and Fauci and such. So.
Yeah. Cool. Number 20. This is the biggie.
Yeah.
Hope and resilience. Sharing inspiring stories of individuals who have overcome adversity and made a positive impact on their communities. Well,
but that's what we've
been doing the whole time.
Well, that's what I'm working on. With the soon to be.
Oh yeah, the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. There's going to be a newsletter. We're getting our shit together, folks. When are we going to have a newsletter? Soon.
How
soon, Ira? How soon? Very soon we'll have a newsletter. Yeah, because having the regular crew, what did you call them? The infected? Having the regular crew isn't so much about getting together and telling our own stories, but, we might reflect on other people's stories. So, all right, that's what ChatGPT suggested for this show. I don't know. There's some interesting things in there. But, by the way, here's a little note. Speaking of how friendly and cordial Mr. ChatGPT is, he closes this by saying, feel free to tailor these topics according to your audience's interests and the specific angle you want to explore in each episode.
Oh, wow, thanks. That totally slipped my mind.
No shit, Sherlock.
Make it myself.
Okay.
My own.
There is something else I want to say, though, before we wrap this one up.
Say it.
Make a real episode. I got to make this a respectable episode.
For once.
So, there has been this thing that has been on my mind lately, and it kind of intersects with the whole
sex,
not intersex, but intersects with the theme of our show. And because the whole idea of the show is Well, we said it like 3 or 4 times now. It's about life in America. But the idea of focusing on your own country, particularly this country, is kind of out of fashion these days. It's not very, because we're like, we want to be more globally minded. And
nationalism's bad.
Nationalism is bad. Nationalism is bad. You get demonized if you're a nationalist. You might even be called a Trump follower.
Nationalism is bad because of one guy who took it too far and sent everybody to camp.
Not Trump. You're talking about that guy in Germany.
Yeah.
So I want to point something out. And I got into this in one of my recent episodes on the Oilfield Ingenuity podcast, which is a show for Oil and Gas Global Network. And I made the observation that this, because I was talking about blaming the evil empire, the oil and gas, the evil empire for this. Oh, I know what we were talking about. We were talking about California suing 5 oil companies, and now somebody says Colorado wants to do the same thing, and suing them for the damages that they inflicted on the unknowing society by lying to them, blah blah blah. Anyway, but I made the observation that it's only been in recent years, like maybe in the last 1 or 2 generations, that is kind of the first example in the history of human civilization. And I actually went through the whole history of human civilization on that episode, starting with like 300.
All of it?
I did like a
in the beginning.
I did a kind of a quick hit the highlights from the beginning of Homo sapiens through today. And I said it's only recently that kind of this idea of worrying globally or worrying about the future of human civilization, the future of mankind, is a recent phenomenon. Nobody, throughout recorded history, if they ever thought about the whole world, it was because they wanted to conquer the whole world, or there were lots of guys that wanted to conquer the world, right up through the one that you mentioned. But even going way back, there was always somebody who wanted to conquer the world, even if they didn't really understand what the whole world really entailed. Even if they had a smaller, their experience wasn't, they didn't understand the full scope of the whole world. There were people who wanted to conquer the world, and then there were people who wanted to conquer it like commercially, like the East India Trading Company is what it is in the movie, but I think it was the British East India. Anyway, they wanted to control the world
just
commercially.
British being British.
However,
the whole point is that for all of history, anytime the world has been thought of, anytime that it's been globally thought of, is in the context of controlling it. But now suddenly
we have new motives. The motives are all new.
Yeah. Suddenly it's all caring, and now it's Mother Teresa who wants to take over the world.
Mother Teresa left at a good time. And in fact, I have a couple of notes here. Global concerns are a new thing, and we see the beginnings of it with the United Nations, the forming of the United Nations, 1945. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, right around the same time. I think they actually came a year earlier, but right around the same time in the 40s. The WHO, the World Health Organization, just a couple of years later, 1948. Who?
There's an owl in here.
And then, of course, a couple decades went by, and then Professor Schwab, Klaus Schwab invented
You will eat the bugs.
World Economic
You
Forum.
will eat the bugs.
1971.
You will live in 15-minute cities.
So it's only in the last 80 years, roughly, if I add this up, 79, 80 years, that all these global organizations that, are intended to try to make a better future for humanity and a better present. It's a new thing. Nobody ever thought about that before. And I just gotta wonder
why
suddenly the new motives. Throughout all of recorded history, as far back as we can go, there's always somebody who wanted to, conquer their neighbors, conquer the world, whatever. Now all of a sudden, in the last one person's lifetime, we have these people that are gravely concerned for the future, and they talk about the future of the planet, but it's not really the planet. It's the future of humanity, and they're really focused. Like, they're really serious. Like, it's not just an excuse to fly all their private jets to wherever they're gonna meet
to the next convention discussing reducing carbon emissions.
Yes,
that's where they fly all their private jets to.
Speaking of Professor the Clouster, here's a quote from him during the pandemic. He said, "The pandemic represents a rare."
Is it pandemic?
Was he wearing his Star Trek
Darth
suit?
Vader.
He said this quote has floated around because people are all nervous about the Great Reset. He said, "The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world to create a healthier, more equitable, and prosperous future." So, yeah, that sounds creepy. But if you just take it at face value and don't think about what's really behind that, just at face value, what he's saying is we have this opportunity to reflect and reimagine and come up with a better tomorrow for the whole world. This is new. This is not this is new in the history of man to think this way, if in fact they are really thinking this way. Now, I have another, there was something I saw on Twitter a couple days ago. X. X.com.
No. It's not called X. It's called X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, when are they going to stop doing
Twitter.
that?
Everywhere I read, it's X, formerly Twitter.
X, formerly, yeah. The artist formerly known. So this woman, what's her name? Mariana something or other. She's an Italian economist. Her last name is Manicotti or something like that.
Biscotti.
Here it is. Mariana Manzucato. She was she's what they call a agenda contributor to the World Economic Forum, and so there was a video of her speaking. Now, of course, nowadays with the deep fakes, you never know whether you really. In fact, I just heard that apparently Tom Hanks is making a fuss because somebody put him in a commercial, except he wasn't really in the commercial.
Well, Tom Hanks is 107. He forgot.
He's not 107. She said. So Mariana Manicotti is saying she's speaking to these people at the forum, the club, and she's saying, climate change is too abstract. People don't really get it. Some people, they kind of understand it, but it's too hard for people to get their head around and get behind. It's too abstract. We had COVID. She says, did we manage to vaccinate the whole world? No, we did not manage to vaccinate the whole world. And so she's basically saying this. So this was a failure. But, she says, a water supply shortage. Now that's something that people can really get behind because she says it's concrete. Everybody understands the importance of water, even if you're a kid. And she uses the example of if you're a kid playing football and you get thirsty, I don't know what an Italian economist knows about football, but maybe she meant their football. Football. She says everybody understands water, so a water shortage. Now, she's not saying, if you listen to what she says, she's not saying we caused these things. I'm not getting off. We're going to save the conspiracy stuff for the back porch.
Okay.
In a few weeks. But she's saying, but our attempts to do something for the common good are not going as well as we would like them to go. And we may have we blew our chance with we blew it with the pandemic because we didn't get everybody vaccinated. Climate change isn't going the way we thought, but a water supply shortage. And again, she's not saying that they're causing these things, but she's saying this is our next opportunity to prove that we can organize ourselves around this objective of the greater common good for the whole world. Am I getting too loud for the?
No.
I'm over there. Okay. And so my point is, this is a new phenomenon for people to think this way. And I guess I want to make 2 points. One is, especially at least in the context of this show, is I want to call bullshit on this notion that if you think about your own country or prioritize your own country or want to like nationalism is just somehow innately bad and we all need to be globally minded. Do you agree with that? I think that's...
Yes.
Yes. Anybody else agree with that? All right. Again, extreme nationalism could be bad. And there are lots of global initiatives that are worthwhile. Dan Alfred and I have had the NAFTA argument. But the idea that we're going to... I think it's important to talk about life in America. It's important to think about, let's just for 5 minutes forget about the whole world and all of whatever we're trying to do globally, and let's just talk about what's happening in this country, irrespective of whatever anybody else thinks about it. The other thing I think is, even if we wanted to take this more global perspective, even if we wanted to say, you know what, it's irresponsible to only think about your own country, our own tiny little country of 400 million people or whatever we got here. We need to think about the planet. We need to think global. So if you start talking about globalism, who are you going to trust exactly? So when you're part of a country, you know that at least to some degree, the national interests of, and I think it becomes more difficult the bigger the country is. Certainly, smaller countries can stay really. What are you playing? You playing what's that? What's that game where the little candy things explode?
You're right.
Candy Crush. Playing Candy
You're
Crush.
You're right. What were you saying?
Smaller countries, it's easier to have kind of that national focus and sort of do things in the interest of of your community. Larger countries like ours, it's very difficult, but it's sure as hell a lot more difficult to do it on a global scale. Anyway, my point is, if you want to take this globalism approach, how are we going to know who to trust?
I didn't vote for Klaus Schwab.
I mean, who do we trust? Do we trust?
I didn't vote for the people in UN.
Yeah, the UN. Yeah. Oh. So how are we doing on time? What are we at here? About
38.
30 minutes. That's enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my point is, and that's why we want to keep doing this show, because we want to talk, we want to be unashamedly, is that the word? Unashamedly? Unabashedly speaking about life in this country. And just for 5 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever an episode turns out to be, we want to say, we just don't give a shit about the whole world right now. We just want to understand, we want to talk about what's happening in our own country and hear about it and think about it from people who live here. That's it. That's all I'm saying.